everybody. This is Scott Hudspeth with Agent Mastermind, and I'm so honored to have you guys here. I'm here with an expert in the real estate arena when it comes to photography. His name's Larry Lorman. Hope I said that right, Larry. How you doing, buddy?
That's right.
Good. So I was just talking to Larry a little bit before the class, and Larry has been doing photography since the 70s, back in the day when we had the dark room, and that's pretty cool stuff. So I don't know if he's still doing any of that, but that's kind of neat to see it in the movie sometimes. But been doing real estate seriously for the last 10 years with his wife. Was actually a licensed real estate broker from 99 to 2011. Now he just helps his wife with photography, and he's been so kind to grant us his time and expertise, sharing with us what he's done to help real estate agents. He has a very interesting blog that a lot of people have already commented about. So, Larry, I'm gonna let you take it from there. And again, I sincerely appreciate you being here. And let's see what you got for us. I got my notepad here.
Okay. Well, thanks, Scott.
Right.
Yeah, Scott said I got into this business because my wife has been a long-time realtor. She started in the mid-'80s. And I helped her with photography around the edges, and in 1999 I quit Boeing and joined her team, to help her out. And my job got to be the online marketing, the website, tours. Tours were just starting in 1999, and the photography. And so I actually started the blog in 2005, and the reason I started is to help the folks in her office. I get all sorts of questions. They want me to help them with this and that, and I didn't have much time besides doing my wife's marketing. So I started this little blog and posted every once a week or so, and would tell them on things they should be doing. And since then, the blog has grown. So now I have about 30,000 readers a month in 160 countries.
Wow.
And which the thing that amazed me at first was
Wow.
that
That's awesome.
that the same stuff works every place. I mean, there are people in Australia, right. New Zealand, very popular there. In fact, Australia is they are most passionate of any place on earth about real estate photography.
Okay.
They really have it. Anyway, the purpose of the blog is to just help people be successful at real estate photography, and what that comes down to is, and it took me a while to figure this out. At first I thought I was just talking to real estate agents, but it turned out after I started taking some polls that the readership of my blog was about a third of agents and about 2/3 professional real estate photographers who just do real estate photography professionally and make a living out of it. And that's going on all over the world. And there are a lot of people wanting to get into this, and there's a lot of agents that want to do it themselves. And some agents that are technical enough want to do it themselves. Others would just rather hire somebody else, don't want to get into the technical stuff.
Right.
And so what the blog is actually more than a blog. It's kind of a community, because in 2007 I started a Flickr group. With people that aren't familiar with Flickr, it's a place to post your photos and then discuss them. So it has a kind of like a forum, and people just comment on each other's photos. And I started that in 2007, and now has almost 9,000 members in it, and they are some of the best real estate photographers in the world. Some of them are just beginning, and it's basically a 24/7 educational place, because the beginners learn from the more experienced ones, and it's just amazing to see the help people give each other. And,
amen. So just so everybody knows, Larry has this PDF that he just updated, actually, and so he's going to go over the PDF instead of a PowerPoint. So I want to do a real quick check to make sure everybody can see his screen. He's going to be covering this PowerPoint. Actually, it's actually a PDF. I'm so used to using PowerPoint, but it's a PDF version. He's going to give this to everybody if you don't already have it, and also he's going to show you where you can get it on his website. So there we go.
Okay, so this is the title of this is what real estate agents need to know about photography, and really it's listing agents should know this kind of thing. Home sellers should know it, and real estate photographers should know it. I find that quite a few actually beginning real estate photographers don't know some of this, and so it's important information. And this has been a really popular. As Scott says, I give it away on the blog. There's on the left-hand sidebar. There's a white link to click on. Where you get this, and it has been so popular, it's now in 4 other languages besides English. Okay. And it is kind of a description of what real estate photography should look like, and not so much how to do it. My other books go into more how to do it, and that's what we focus on in the blog. But this, and as I say, I give this away. A lot of real estate photographers use this as a marketing tool to market real estate agents, and by explaining, what they do for them and what hiring a professional real estate photographer does for you. So I'll move right into it here. All right. I'm displaying it here in 2-page mode. So the left hand is one page, and the right hand is another page.
Okay. Perfect.
So to start with, anyone that is interested in marketing nowadays, marketing real estate, should go on and go through the process of what a real home buyer does. And of course, I don't need to tell agents that a huge. I think that the study showed 92% of home buyers start on the internet. I mean, that's a given nowadays. But the process that you have to go through as a home buyer is kind of instructive. And basically what you do is you go on a website like Realtor.com, Zillow, your broker's site, wherever it is, and put in a price range, a neighborhood, whatever, and you may get 100 properties that fit that description. And of course so the home buyer has to continually be focusing that down. But in that process, what will happen? I don't know if you can see my cursor there. Yeah. But okay, great. So in this bottom left corner is a typical kind of page you'll see, which you'll see a listing, or you'll see the primary external photo from the MLS. And almost all MLSs, of course, have a rule that very first photo has to be the primary external photo, and they kind of treat that specially, and that always becomes the little thumbnail that you see, and you'll see probably the address and maybe a few words along the side, but the thing about this is that this little thumbnail, and some of them are really small, some of them are bigger than others, is kind of like a lure, a fisherman's lure. I mean, the better the home look, because the buyer is in a hurry, going through hundreds of these things, and they're going to be attracted to not only the price but what looks good in the. So that's one of the reasons I'll go into later about external, how the external photo is one of the most important things of the listing, but we'll go into that more. But this is an example of where that comes into play is when a viewer or a home buyer is initially looking. Frequently, that's the only photo they see until they do a lot more clicking in their searching. So, okay.
So that. Hey Larry, can you do me just a small favor? Can you just to make this bigger for the people that are on the call? Can you close out your webcam, and then it'll actually make this picture bigger for the people that are watching? If you click on the webcam button over there, it'll just close that down, and then it'll make it so that what we're looking at here is a bigger size.
Oh, click on
See
this.
that over there? It's under audio, and it says webcam. You might have to open it up and then see that there.
Well, here's. How about?
If you see where it says share my webcam.
Oh no, I lost it here.
Under it's on your go-to meeting thing. It says you have screen sharing, dashboard, attendees, audio, webcam.
Oh yeah,
webcam. Yeah, and then if you click on that button, it'll just shut it off, and then it'll make this bigger for the people. There we go. There we go. Much better. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it a lot better now. Thank you.
Okay.
So you were saying, so what I got out of that is what you're saying, that first picture is like the one that is going to catch the attention of whoever's looking at on the MLS.
Right, and it varies a lot depending on the website, but almost all real estate websites emphasize that first photo and treat it specially, and it may be a thumbnail, it may be that's all they show you, and then there'll be some little thumbnails of the rest of the photos underneath. But that initial photo becomes super important for marketing, and you want to put a lot of time and energy into making that look really good.
Cool.
The next thing is this is kind of an overview. This next section, the basics of visual psychology. These 4 items, kind of the overall thing of the 10 essentials that I'm going to talk about. They are that number 1, that people like to look at in pictures that are light and bright. They don't like dark caves. So having photos light and bright, and actually it turns out real estate photos tend to be, you want them a little brighter than the place really looks. So that's an important factor, and that becomes actually one of the key things for real estate photographers is how do you deal with the lighting. And there's a couple ways to do that. I'm not going to go into it today, but it's a huge factor. The second item there, disorienting interiors. That is, if you see a picture, and we'll go into this in more detail, have examples, where anything is kind of weird looking, where the verticals are off, the horizontals are off,
yeah,
the color is off.
Corners and squares, yeah.
Your attention, a viewer's attention picks that up, and grabs onto that, and it distracts them. You kind of have to think about each one of these photos as kind of a little story and that you're telling about the space you're showing or the property. And what you want to do is eliminate as many of the distractions as possible. And those disoriented things like weird perspective and verticals and what have you become those distractions. The third thing here, composition. This is really important too. And I find that some photographers have a kind of a natural feeling for composition. They seem to figure it out and just do it automatically. And they even have a difficult time talking about what it is they're doing. But what you include and what you exclude is huge about telling the story of the space you're trying to tell. And I have this monthly contest on the blog where all the top real estate photographers compete in, and they just obsess about composition, and that's
now,
what you get.
Does composition have anything to do with panoramic photos or not? Or is that more of
no.
Does composition have anything to do with that?
No, panoramic photos are actually kind of a whole different story. They used to be much more popular than they are. They're really, I used to do 8 360s for every listing we had. I don't even do them anymore because
so it's not the top of the not the hot topic anymore. Because I know, man, all these cameras do them automatically now, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last item is kind of the things I was talking about before, the distractions. You want to remove all the distractions you can that aren't essential to telling the story about this space. You don't want dogs in there. You don't want miscellaneous towels hanging on the refrigerator. You don't want people, because if there's a person in there, people will just, it grabs their attention and they don't look into themselves. So, so these are kind of some of the overriding principles. And then the next page on the right is I go into the fact that...
Well, one of the things I want to cover, like at the top I was reading, it said multiple studies have shown that homes marketed with professional photography get more showings, and therefore the property sells faster and for more.
That's
the most
right.
significant study is from Redfin, which is a good publication, that indicates that a home sells for anywhere from 900 to 116,000 USD more. So, or 900 to, yeah. So, which that's a great point to make. So, do you see do you see? I don't know. It's obviously the better it looks to me. I always reference everything like a menu at a restaurant. If there's no pictures, I'm looking at what stuff is when it comes by. So the better the pictures, probably the better, the more wanting to see the property than you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, because in the end, the job of the photography is to create showings where buyers actually come out there and go through the home. And so you want to make it look good. You know, some agents are worried, oh, we don't make it look too good. I don't think you have to worry about making it look too good. Just make it look the very best you can. And this this first paragraph that Scott just read is the summary. This info, what do you call it? This infographic along the right side is by a realtor in North Carolina had this created, and this is a summary of this Redfin study. Now, I wanted to point out that in the PDF that's currently right this minute on my blog, this link doesn't work, but the same link is at on the last page, and it does work.
Okay. Okay.
So when I get done here, I'm going to fix this link.
Fix that one. Okay, perfect.
And so the PDF that Scott will be giving away will
be correct.
Will be correct, and the one, after a few hours on my blog will also be correct. But anyway, the idea is that, starting at about $200,000, it gets an extra $900 in net sales, or professional quality.
Huge increase. Small, yeah.
All the way up to 800,000 and above, you're talking more like 16,000, and plus the properties are selling for 47% more price per square foot, and you're getting 61% more views, and so that's really kind of the essence of what's going on here, what we're talking about.
Sure.
And I think it's also worth noting this section down here, that the other thing to a listing agent, and I saw this with I love to go to listing presentations with my wife and kind of just sit there and watch the home sellers, and when she was presenting, this is what we're going to do for you, and there isn't a home seller out there that doesn't instantly recognize that photography and showing off your home is super important. And what I found that what would happen is we would have these flyers, these fancy flyers that had full page of their home on the front with some text floated on the top, and we would have everyone in the neighborhood almost grab one of, I'd put 100 out and they'd be gone on the first day. And we would have people coming back a year later to my wife saying, Levi, we want you to do this and sell our home. And the idea here is that good photography gets you more listings, and the neighborhood watches various agents that are selling their neighbor's home, and
sure.
they are going to go to the agent that does the best job of marketing.
Here's a great question from Terry Hunter, which I would love to get your answer to. I use a wide angle, which makes the space look bigger than it may look in person. Should the photos tease or fully describe the home? In any case, I don't do documentaries, but rather glamour shots. No little baths, small, nondescript bedrooms. What is your take on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, we are on the blog. We argue that subject a lot. In fact, the answer is that one of the most important things in real estate photography equipment is that wide-angle lens. And yes, you absolutely must have a wide-angle lens. There are situations where you can overdo it. I mean, you can get a 14 millimeter lens, and when I first got my 16 millimeter, the lens that went out to 16 millimeters, my wife used to bawl me out every time I'd come home, and she said, that's not what it looks like. That looks like a bowling alley. And she'd send me back to shoot it again. So, yeah, there's some rooms like small bathrooms where they are absolutely essential. Small bathrooms, small bedrooms, things where if you don't have a super wide angle lens, you can't really even show it. And I'm going to have some examples of that later on, because that's one of the 10 essentials.
That's what I was going to say. Like the next slide, you got the 10 essentials. You want to cover the 10 essentials to, let's see, it says here are the 10 essential principles that you can use to give your marketing photos maximum effectiveness.
Right. So going on to the next section here, the 10 essentials, each one of these is a key principle. And the first one, the primary purpose of the real estate marketing photos is to present the features of the property. And I give an example here where this is the same room, and actually the one with the red X means that's not, you're not supposed to do it this way, and the one with the green check means that's the one you're supposed to. The guy that translated it into Russian came up with that technique, and I really like it.
So the yes and no, like no on the top, yes on the bottom, is because like it focuses more on what the home has to offer because of the fireplace, and then you're sitting, like, so you're visualizing sitting on a couch, looking at the fireplace and looking outside, more
Right.
so than just sitting in a living room with, like, there's no focus on the fireplace. I mean, that's a huge difference in pictures right there. It looks like a totally different house.
Right, and the story behind this particular photo is that this is a home this is our longtime home in Issaquah, Washington that we sold, and this is the actual listing. This is the first the photo that I took of the rec room, and my wife saw it and said that her comment was, the whole point of this room is that we fixed up this fireplace. We did this fantastic treatment of the fireplace and these windows to the exterior.
Windows, yeah, huge difference. Right.
That's the story.
Now, would you put both, or would you only put the one? Would you put both pictures?
I would only use this.
This one, okay, all right, because that's much more inviting, much more.
This is actually a better listing because now if for example you wanted to, you might have a second listing photo because someone would say, well, the other feature is that you've got these cabinets and bookcase, so you could have another one, but it would be better to show that as a separate room.
Sure. Explain this bed one. I personally, yeah, like, I mean, obviously I see more of the top one, I think, but showing the whole bedroom, like with the window in there, was huge. Now, is this a wide lens angle compared to not a wide end? I mean, why the big difference here?
This is the wide angle lens one.
Okay.
And this is why, for real estate photography, you can't use an iPhone or you can't use a point-and-shoot camera, because if you use an iPhone or a point-and-shoot camera, you're going to get a shot that looks like the top one. The bottom one is using a wide-angle lens, and by what I have the explanation up here. What I mean as a wide-angle lens, it's between 14 and 24 millimeters effective focal length, and so you see the whole bedroom basically, whereas here
absolutely huge, total difference. Yes.
So it's a big difference.
Yeah, big difference. I like that. I mean, I don't see a problem with this top one on the right-hand side here with all these clothes and stuff laying around.
Yeah, I exaggerate.
Yeah,
some of these are exaggerated.
Yeah.
The listing agents out here will understand this one. This is, for listing agents, this is the most difficult problem you probably encounter, is this thing of remove clutter and stage interior for best results. Well, sometimes that's easier said than done. This particular...
Right. You got to get a dumpster for that one to list that one. You got to get a dumpster. Holy smokes.
And I mean, the worst case is when you have a rental where you've got renters in there during the showing process. The renters don't care if this house sells. In fact, they'd rather it didn't sell.
Yeah.
So they're not going to cooperate. But you basically have to, the listing agent has to actively work with the home seller and make sure, I mean, most people don't know about getting rid of clutter, about taking the pictures off of the refrigerator in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Taking
magnets, refrigerator magnets, yeah.
Right, taking all those magnets, or taking the dish towel off the refrigerator, all this kind of stuff.
Little stuff like that, yeah. Here's Allison has a good question. She says, I have a full-framed Canon 6D camera. I don't know if you know what that is, but do I still need a wide-angle lens?
Yep. And and you want a lens in.
Oh, here it is right here. 35, okay.
24 millimeters.
So length of between 14 and 24 millimeter. Okay, lenses with a wide enough angle. So this PDF will tell her shoots interiors don't usually come with off-the-shelf or point. Okay, cool. Okay, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, the only way you can get a wide-angle lens is you've got to have a DSLR and buy the lens separately. And my blog has a page, the lens page on the top that gives suggestions. You know, so if Allison has a 6D, she can go to that page and it recommends what are the good lenses for real estate photography.
You know, here Casey Wells is asking a great question. She said, can you recommend an entry-level camera that would, let's see, I'll just read it as, a good entry-level camera would be that has a wide-angle lens that you can buy. Do you have any recommendations for that? That's a great question.
Yeah, in fact, yeah. There's actually some posts on my blog, but what I recommend is a Canon T3i Rebel,
okay,
which is about $400 or $500 on
T3i, all right,
on Amazon. And
all
Canon has a new lens that for that camera it's called a 10 to 18 millimeters. It just came out at the beginning of the year, and we've been on the blog, we've been talking about it, and it is a knockout lens for real estate photography, and it's about $300. So the whole package is going to be about $800.
Very nice.
And that's kind of what you've got to spend to do real estate photography.
Okay. Awesome. There you go. You want to repeat that one more time? What was the Canon? I think I got it. Canon Rebel T3?
T3i Rebel.
T3i. Okay. Canon Rebel T3i. All right.
Yep.
They're right now on Amazon for $549.
Yep.
And that's 18 MP. Okay, cool. All right. And then the lens to go with it is what?
Is a Canon 10 to 18 millimeter.
Okay.
It's made specifically for that camera. Works great, and it's been getting reviews as one of the best lenses for real estate photography.
There you go. Okay. Let's see. I found that, but I am not. Okay. $289 on that one.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'll save those. I'll post them on the Facebook private group. So if you're joining us for the first time and you want, I'll post some of the stuff he's talking about that might not be in his PDF that we're going to also give away. I'll post these sites with these cameras that he recommends, and you guys can check them out, of course, and do all the reviews and fun stuff like that.
Also on my blog, there are articles. There are the most popular articles along the right-hand side. It has links to. There's one that recommends. That has these kind of recommendations in it.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
It has more details.
Okay, great.
Okay, the next.
One more question before you go. Like you can go to the next page, but the question, LaDawn Weston, appreciate you joining us here today. Says, would you suggest a flash or natural lighting? I've heard of special light bulbs for good lighting.
Yeah, I would recommend a flash. At least a single. To do it well, you need more than one flash, but to do it adequately, you can get by with a flash, with a single flash. And it can't be a flash that's built in. It has to be an external flash, that comes off.
Okay. All right. What's number?
Okay, the next one.
Yeah, renders interior lighting bright. Yeah. Tell me the difference between these two pictures. Like I like the bottom picture.
Well, you're ahead of it. The next one is the number 4. We're still on page 5.
4. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Primary interior shot.
The thing about primary external shot is the most important photo. And in this example, this is a home that we sold in about 2001 or 2002, and it was a really nice home. it was almost $1 million, I think. But the front of it just looked awful. It was really cramped. The driveway had all these cracks in it. All you could see in the front were these, at this triple car garage, and you couldn't get. I couldn't back away because there was this cement wall, and then it's this steep embankment going down a big hill. And so I struggled and struggled with how to shoot this home, and I ended up coming back about 4 or 5 times to get. This was the photo that I ended up with, and what happened is I finally realized that I could walk up behind this house in the woods behind the home, look out over the top, and you could see the fact that this is looking out towards Renton here, Renton, Washington, and the thing had a view actually, and it took me several times because this was November in Seattle, and you have to wait for the right day. But anyway, this is an example of where putting a lot of time into that first photo, and the story that goes along with this is that what I used to do is I'd love to go to the inspections when we sell the home and then talk to the home buyer and ask them, and I did that on this one. I asked the home buyer, how did you get to this home? How did you find it? And why did you like it? And the lady pulls out the printout of the website that she saw it on, and the only thing on that website was this photo.
Really?
She said, I took this to my realtor and I said, we want to go see this home.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Big difference huge difference in pictures there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, now.
It's fun. You've said a couple things that kind of, like one is, back on a little bit ago, you said you talked about a story, and man, I'm telling you, that is so important when writing the descriptions and taking the photos to tell a story. But now you just told another one where you asked the seller why they bought this house, and they showed you a picture that recognized, that brought them to this house and said, I got to see this house. So guys, that's so important to talk to your sellers about what brought them to their home. And you guys might already be doing this, but when you find out why they bought it, you're probably going to find another buyer that's going to have the same wants or so, and maybe not. But a lot of times, look what happened. The one seller bought it, and somebody else. So it's just stories are everything when you're doing photos and stories and stuff like that, descriptions.
Yeah, I found that a great place to talk to the buyers of your listing is the inspection. The buyer's agent doesn't want you talking to their buyers really.
Right.
But at the inspection, it's some buyer's agents don't like the listing agents coming to the inspection. But I've only got, out of hundreds that I went to, I only got asked to leave once, and I found it incredibly illuminating almost every time by just talking, having time, because the buyers are just wandering around, wasting time waiting for the inspector.
Right.
Okay.
And the number 5 is part here and part here. So why don't we go to show the pictures, because I think it's isn't it on?
Well, the next thing I want to do is go out to my website.
Oh, your website. Okay, cool.
Right. Because I had a request from.
Oh yeah, Twilight
Aaron
photos. Yes.
Morel to do.
Aaron Morel, thank you. Man, what a beautiful home there. Beautiful picture.
Okay, this is one of the first Twilight shots that I did, and one of the things about Twilight shots that not only are they really dramatic in marketing your property, they look good in that little
Looks awesome.
thumbnail. They look good if that's the only picture that the real estate website is showing.
Right.
And they just grab people's attention, and they're really quite easy to do. The key to doing one of these is to show up at the right time, and basically
Yeah, right.
you turn on all the lights, and there's a period of about 15 minutes before sunset to about 15 minutes after sunset, which is called twilight. That half an hour in there is called twilight, and that's when the time you're supposed to turn on your headlights when you're driving. But that's when you show up, and this picture was a little late. It's a little dark here in some spots, but and many real estate photographers nowadays have raised this to a real science. They will illuminate, use flash to illuminate these, and make really good. But if you're doing this yourself, it's not that hard. So
Cool.
there's
So you got a half-hour window or so, is what you're saying?
yeah, there's about a half-hour window. Now this listing is an example of one. The home sellers came to my wife, and because they saw the previous photo, and they said, and they saw that on her website, and said, we want you to sell our house because of that photo.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so again, the same thing. You just turn on all the lights, and there's another critical factor here in this one that wasn't so much a factor in the previous one, that you can't really tell. But if you study this, you can tell that I am not standing on the street. This is not a street level shot. You're
standing up on something, right?
Yeah.
You raised yourself. Okay.
Now what I do is I have a Toyota pickup, and I carry one of these A-frame, one of these extension ladders that you can
There you go.
put it in half. I put it up there, and I can climb up to the top and straddle the thing.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And I can be basically 20 or 25 feet above the street. And
That's awesome. I never even thought about that. But Aaron Merrill's asking, did you use, and this might have been for the last picture, but did you use Lightroom in this picture? Is that a?
Actually, this picture was taken before Lightroom was invented. This was
Okay.
2003, and Lightroom. But yeah, you use Lightroom to adjust. That's the one piece of software that a real estate.
That's an Adobe. Looks like an Adobe type thing. Adobe Lightroom.
Adobe Lightroom. Okay. Yeah, it's about $129, and really, it's all you need.
And there's a video here that if you guys want to check it out, it's all I did was Google Lightroom, and Adobe Photoshop Lightroom comes up. It's really cool. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it does, but it's yeah. So crazy stuff. It's just insane what you can do with photography. Very nice. Very nice. Picture.
Okay. So, the other. Let's see. This is a twilight again. I'm up on my pickup. And another thing that's useful to know when you're taking shots or front shots is that you usually don't want to take it straight on. You want to take what's called a three-quarter view. This is a three-quarter view. I'm not directly in front of the front door. I'm kind of off to the edge looking, and the reason here is you want to be able to show what's going on over here, because that's a big part of the story. All of these garages in this development are side load garages, and you get to see that all of this stuff is an important part of the thing of the property.
Beautiful.
This is the other one I want to. And this is the photo that's on the front of the PDF. And on this listing, this is an example, another example of sometimes you don't want to take, sometimes you want to take the back of the house and just call it the front.
Okay.
Because in this case, the front of the house is just looks terrible. You
Well,
know,
it looks like there's a road right next to it too, and like not real. Yeah.
yeah. There's a busy whoops. Like anyway, there was a busy road in front. There was a small, not much room, but you go around the back here, and you have this wonderful wooded view, and it makes a really nice shot. So anyway, I'll go back.
I don't know about you, but I like all the I like all the lighted ones where at night, just before dusk. I think those. I mean, because these are all common pictures. I mean, these are great pictures, but I don't know. There's something about that lighted picture at night with the home lit up that just draws my attention. So
absolutely, and buyers and sellers feel exactly the same way. One other little tip before we get off of this is on this home. The guy we were selling it for was a professional photographer, and this was about 2001 or 2002, and I was still learning the ropes then, and I did a photo of his home, and after he saw what I did, he pulled me aside and he said, "I want to give you some advice." He says, "You go out, you use a polarizer." And this shot is taken with a polarizing filter, which is a filter you screw on the front of the lens. And it basically has a screening effect that it only lets certain rays of the sun that are polarized a certain way come through. But what it does is it makes a wonderful color. It does really nice things to the color, and anyway, he pointed this out to me, and so anytime you're taking a shot in the sunlight, you can make it look way better by just using a polarizer.
Okay. So much stuff involved in photos. I didn't realize.
Okay, so back to the PDF here, and now I'm going to go on to render homes light and bright. That's this principle. And these two examples show kind of what I mean is that the top one is actually, I mean, this is my living room, and this is what it looks like. But this in a lot of ways is exaggerated, but it basically is done by simply a single flash bounced off the ceiling, and when it bounces off the ceiling, it spreads the light around, and it just flows all over, and it lights everything, and it doesn't make any, it doesn't give you wacky shadows that you would get if you just pointed straight out. So this. So
you had the flash pointing up towards the ceiling is what you did on this one.
Yep, and
how high are the ceilings here? These
are high ceilings. These are 22-foot ceilings.
And so and the reason I'm asking that is so it doesn't matter how high the ceilings are.
No, it's not a problem.
So you shined the flash on the ceiling at the that's crazy. Okay, unbelievable. All right.
Now the next principle is it's the one that real estate photographers and real estate agents have the most trouble with understanding and getting. And I've spent more time arguing about this than almost anything. And it is what this comes from is it comes from the fact that in our daily life we live in an environment inside interiors where our brain knows that all the walls are perfectly straight up and down.
Right.
And when you look at a picture and you see, like this top one, and you see that the walls are kind of sloping in here, and this thing is angled.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. Your brain, whether you realize it or not, it's distracting your brain because it's making it feel uncomfortable because it's and wonder what's going on, and it's not in you. And by now Lightroom has a feature, the latest version of Lightroom 5, that automatically, if you just get this close. I think if I would, I've never tried it with this particular photo, but I almost bet that this photo it would straighten out with one click to do this. And if it's awesome. Not, if it didn't, some slight adjustments it would fix. Another variation of this.
Yeah, I was trying to figure the difference on the kitchens. Like the kitchen, why is that on the top one not any good? And
right, what you notice here is to see
the refrigerator.
You see that curve.
Yeah,
What happens, and again, this is really exaggerated, so you can see it. But on many photos that are taken with a wide-angle lens, if you don't correct in Lightroom for what's called barrel distortion, that the edges are going to be slightly curved, and some people may notice it, others may not. But Lightroom can tell from the photo what lens you used, and will automatically straighten it out.
Wow.
And so you want to take the time to do that because, again, it's a distraction.
Got it. Interesting.
The next one here is that this is the real estate photographer's biggest problem is controlling the light. The fact is that the light, this is taken on a bright day, the light outside is 1,000 times brighter than in the interior. And if you just put your camera on automatic, it will take a picture like this because it'll average out the inside and it'll make it look like there's a nuclear explosion going on outside. This is more like what you want. And before I understood how to do this with lighting, and basically this is what a flash does. It balances the level of light inside with the level of light outside, and you can control how bright the windows are with your flashes. And
wow. Now, how do you do that?
Well, you do it with by controlling how much flash you use. This one I actually took before I understood all this with flashes, and my only technique for controlling the outside brightness was I would come at twilight because the outside is very close to the inside.
Right, right.
And I'd come at twilight no matter what. And in fact, this case, the sellers were having a dinner party.
Wow. So twilight, just so everybody knows, twilight is considered, and correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, 15 minutes before sunset and 15 minutes after.
Right.
So you got about a half-hour window. Anywhere in between there should work for you.
Right. And you can shoot wonderful interior shots with beautiful views out the windows, and that you can adjust in Lightroom and be just right.
That's brilliant. So just shoot it at somebody asked, how do you reduce the light? We'll just shoot it at twilight, which makes total sense. Very nice. Okay, cool.
Right. Now the second to last one here is coloration.
Huge difference. Yeah.
What's called color balance. Again, this is exaggerated, but color balance problems can come from lights or walls that are painted red or wacky colors. It can also come from light bulbs. Incandescent light bulbs tend to be redder and oranger, and outside tends to be bluer. And
can Lightroom fix this as well?
Lightroom can fix this. Also, modern cameras have a feature called auto white balance that you put on auto white balance, and you're basically telling the camera, figure out what you think is the best white balance for this, and it'll do a pretty good job. And then you can touch it up in Lightroom to adjust it.
Very cool.
The last item here has to do with tours and presenting photos, and it's the principle that the way real estate sites present photos, they tend to be too small. And
absolutely, yeah, sad.
As a listing agent or a home seller, you want those images to be big, and that's really what you get, or that's the major thing you get out of a tour, or having a real estate photographer doing a tour or you doing a tour, is that the photos are much bigger, and I think it's really worth the extra money you might spend on a tour, and nowadays you really don't have to spend that much on tours.
And Jim brings up a good point. Jim says cloudy days work better too, when it's not so bright out, where the sun's not blaring down on the house.
Yes,
cloudy
absolutely.
days work good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, cloudy days are. When with that bright sun, you get a lot more difficulties controlling the brightness. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Dude, amazing, like a lot of compliments, a lot of stuff that I had no. So here's clarify. Let's see, Deborah, thanks for being here. Lightroom is software that works with Photoshop, or is it a version of Photoshop and is complete software? Great question.
No, well, it will work with Photoshop, but it is.
But you don't need it to use Lightsoft.
You don't need Photoshop. Photoshop is very difficult
Lightroom.
to use. Lightroom is
very difficult, right?
To learn. And
so Lightroom is 100% by itself. You don't need to buy this to that to get this to work. It's like Lightroom is 100% all by itself.
Yep. Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. Awesome. Never heard of that one. Is Lightroom a software? Yes. So that's all there. What is Lightroom? Lightroom's a software that Lightroom fixes your curved edges, fixes your lighting, helps you with the lighting period.
Right.
A lot of stuff that it does, right?
Yeah, it's actually, nowadays it does things that could never be done if you shoot in what's called RAW format, so that all of the pixels come out of your camera, and you give that to Lightroom. You can make major changes in the exposure. You can turn a dark room into a bright room really easily, and many people do this without using much flash at all.
Okay. And like Aaron's asking, how do you get your twilight times? You just kind of find out when, like, do you kind of hang out there and take different pictures at different times and see which ones come out best?
There's actually, there's probably 4 or 5 different iPhone apps and iPad apps that will tell you. I can't remember the one that I use here. The one I use is called Light Track, Lighttrac.
Is that for iPhone?
That's for iPhone and for iPad. And you can.
That'll tell you.
The great thing about it is, you, as a photographer, you can, when you're making the appointment, you can see what time you're going to be there and see what angle this is coming there, and it will also tell you when sunrise is and when sunset is. And
it's Light, Lighttrac. Is that correct?
That's right.
Lighttrac. Okay, I'll post that on the group page as well. Very cool. So that looks like a very cool app, and it doesn't look like it costs anything.
It's a couple bucks, I think.
Couple bucks, yeah, Larry. Can Larry give any hints on how to photograph a room where the view of the outside is also properly exposed?
Yeah, that's the crux. There's a number of ways, and I don't have time left here to go into all of them.
I know.
Basically, you use flash by brightening the interior with flash, and you typically use multiple flashes. And my blog has a lot of stuff on this.
Okay.
You could go at twilight. That's one. You use flash. Another way is you do what's called bracketing. You take a series of photos from very dark to very light. And then there's a Lightroom plugin called Lightroom Infuse that smooshes that all together and takes the best pixels out of each one and does it just like you had been using a flash.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, Eric brought up a good point here, and I would recommend this. And we're going to, Larry, you want to put your blog up on the screen, like go to your website and put, because everybody's asking where that is. So, and Eric, Lily, I appreciate you saying this, would encourage agents to go to the directory on Larry's PFRE site to find a pro photographer in their area.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know you even had that. So that was very
He's
generous.
talking about this real estate photographer directory. It's a worldwide directory of, and the other thing it does, what I point out is that the people that win my contest get a free entry here, and it marks them as being a monthly winner, and it puts them at the top. And they are the ones that are chosen by their peers to be the very best of the best.
Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. So everybody votes on it.
Right,
very cool. Larry, I appreciate your time. I know we're at the top of the hour, and I know you're busy. So, and we have a great group, tons and tons and tons of questions. So I would highly recommend going to Larry's blog and following. How would somebody follow your blog so they could communicate with you if they had a question or communicate? Right there,
up here in the upper right.
Okay, perfect.
If you want to ask me a question, you just click here and ask me a question. If you want an email every time I post about 4 or 5 days a week.
Okay, wow.
You just subscribe you put your email in here, and down here on the left-hand side, right here, is the book we've been presenting out.
Okay. All right, and he's going to fix that link. So if you want the book, go to his site. Great stuff. If you have a question, you can email Larry. If you want to get his blog post, which I'd highly recommend, just to kind of keep up on what he's talking about, because you're going to get comments that come along with what he's talking about. And like he said, we argue about this and that, which is a great back and forth. Well, what about this? What about that? And there's that lens right there that you were talking about, the Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter.
Actually,
that's right there.
This is not the one I was talking about. The one I was talking about is newer, but yeah, there's also Lightroom tutorials.
Lightroom tutorials, yep. So it looks like he's got just about everything dialed in here. So Larry, I sincerely appreciate you sharing your precious time with us and giving us some awesome pointers, and I think I speak for everybody. And if you, I would go to photographyforrealestate.net, photographyforrealestate.net, and of course, to get a copy of this recording and PowerPoint, contact the loan professional that sent you here. I'm going to be posting some stuff on our private fan page. If you're new to being here, just request to get in. We'll let you in. We're about 9,000 strong, almost 9,000 now. And Larry, I sincerely appreciate your time and your expertise and all the time you spend in putting all this together for us.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you again. So, hey, guys, we'll see you same time, same place next week on Agent Mastermind. Everybody be safe and get out there, enjoy the summer, and we'll see you on the web. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.